Hi everybody. So I wasn't originally going to do a video today. We do have a severe weather threat in the south, but there's been some changes in the forecast and I think it's a good idea to maybe give some of y'all a heads up. And the main threat for severe storms is in the deep south this afternoon, this evening into tonight, which means tornadoes possible after dark. That's always a big concern of mine. Tornadoes that happen at night are twice as deadly, and it's because people usually aren't paying as much attention or they're asleep. That's a big problem. So let's talk about who's going to see severe storms this afternoon and evening and where we could see some severe weather in the next couple of days. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, guys, so what we're doing is taking a look at the radar for the southeast region. You can already see these green highlighted areas right here in Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. Those are flash flood warnings. We do have a flash flood threat with this system. What's happening is we got a low pressure moving from the southern plains into the Midwest. That's going to produce some gusty winds, a lot going on with that. But as the cold front swings through the south, that's going to be the focus for that severe weather threat. Now, what's happening is we have warm, moist Gulf air. Then we got that system rolling in. It's going to give us some lift, some intensity to these storms. And, this could be a bit of a big issue for some folks. And these are areas that have seen a lot of severe weather so far this season. Really quickly showing you the big hazard map. I like to kind of give you an idea. Notice there is a winter component to this in the Midwest. They're going to see quite a bit of snow. But my main concern in this video is just talking about that severe weather threat. The red there is those flash flood warnings we talked about. You've got flood watches there. Flooding's going to be an issue with this. We've got a severe weather threat. We also have wind advisories. Even if you're not under a thunderstorm, winds are going to gust 40, 50, even upwards of 60 miles an hour. Now for tomorrow, notice the Ohio Valley has a high wind watch. And it looks like that extends also into parts of western New York. So there's a lot going on with this system. It's pretty intense in terms of wind, but there's a tornado threat with this as well, which is the reason I'm doing this video, because I have some concerns and I want you folks to know what's going on. So this map changed from yesterday. Yesterday we had a slight risk. I was keeping an eye on it. But what happened was the Storm Prediction Center, they put in an enhanced risk, which is level 3 out of 5. And this includes the cities of Greenville, Jackson. This has actually been expanded a little bit. And then around that, you have a slight risk that includes Little Rock, New Orleans. If you're in the orange or the yellow, you need to be especially cautious. But even if you're in the green, the marginal risk, which is level 1 out of 5, you could still see severe weather, and you certainly could see some wind with this. So the people who really need to watch out the most are in eastern Louisiana, into Mississippi, southeast Arkansas. But if you're under any type of threat whatsoever, or even if you're under that general thunderstorm risk, you're going to be looking at the risk for wind into the rest of today, into tomorrow, depending on where you're at. So please stay weather aware. Now, the other reason I am doing this video is because look at this. We now have a hatched risk. So in the yellow, that means there's a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of where you're at. So pretty decent chance that you could see a tornado. However, there's a hatched risk now, and that means that some of those tornadoes could be strong. So Jackson, Mississippi, Greenville, eastern Louisiana, southeast Arkansas, you folks are under that highest risk level. You have the greatest threat for tornadoes. Doesn't mean there won't be tornadoes that could be on the strong side elsewhere, but you have the greatest probability of that happening. And notice that 5% chance of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of your location includes Shreveport, Little Rock, kind of glances through Memphis, even New Orleans, and then the rest of you folks, including Jackson, Tennessee, all the way into southern Illinois, you've got about a 2%. Wind, kind of the same story there. There's a pretty wide range of wind issues, and hail as well. So we're going to talk in a couple of minutes about, the threat tomorrow and into Friday. But right now, let's get a look at what radar might look like later on today. So this is 2 o'clock this afternoon, so coming up soon. And you can see most of the action right now is just in Texas. So, we're going to keep an eye on this, but just notice that these storms forming in Texas into Oklahoma, Arkansas. Then as we head into the afternoon hours, this is 4 or 5 o'clock, things really start to get going. You see storms that are individualized. Those could be supercells. Those can spin, but you've also got a powerful line rolling through as well that's going to bring a big wind threat with it. But this is going to be the time period 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock as these storms move through Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. That's going to be when we have the greatest risk of tornadoes. And then these storms, you see how wet and messy it is all the way up into, Illinois, into portions of Missouri, and then it's moving into Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and it continues to slide off to the east. So we're going to change the view a little bit so you can see a little bit better. This is the deep south view. Watch what happens in, Louisiana. This is 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is 5 o'clock, and you see how active things get. Is this area right here, this kind of intersection where you have Mississippi, where you have Arkansas, where you have eastern Louisiana. This is going to be the spot where these could produce tornadoes. Any kind of severe weather possible, this is going to be kind of the most likely area to see that. Now, the other spots I talked about, you could see tornadoes as well, but they're going to be most likely during this time period. This is 11 o'clock at night. A lot of folks are asleep. That's why I said, nighttime tornadoes, not good. We don't like to see that, but it's a possibility. And, even if you're awake, you're out and about, you don't have good visibility at night, especially in areas where there's a lot of trees, like the deep south. So this continues into 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then you see this line pushing east. It's still going to have a big severe weather threat with it. So that's why I have some concerns. We're also going to take a quick look at the severe weather risk with this. So I want to show you the significant tornado parameter as we head into that time period. And this kind of gives you a good view of, what the conditions are like for tornadoes at a certain time. So the deeper reds indicate a higher risk of tornadoes. And you can see that happening, into the afternoon. There's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It's still there. So please be very cautious. This is continuing into those early morning hours when a lot of folks are starting to get to bed and try to sleep. So those are the main threats I wanted to talk about. We're looking at wind. We're looking at a hail threat. The main threat, though, is going to be damaging winds. Flash flooding is a big concern, especially in those areas that aren't necessarily in that enhanced risk, slight risk area. We've got a flash flood risk. You can see it's already going on in Arkansas. But there's just a lot of hazards with this. And, we could see a few strong tornadoes. So that's why I'm concerned. And then I mentioned, as we head into the next couple of days, the risk remains. You've got a chance for a few strong storms, some severe weather. Mobile, Alabama, Dothan, into Tallahassee. And then notice there's this little marginal risk. That's for wind there in the Ohio River Valley. And that area could see some wind gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour into tomorrow. So just a heads up there for you folks. And then my friends in the low country and in Florida Panhandle, you've got another risk, some spin developing there. In these areas, including Charleston, Savannah, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, you're going to see that risk into the day on Friday. So a couple more days of severe weather. Today is the big day in terms of what we have concerns about. You can see a lot of stuff already ongoing. I got, wind advisories, including in Tennessee, Kentucky, up into West Virginia, Pennsylvania. So even if you're not seeing severe weather, you're seeing some pretty rockin' wind. So please make sure you secure everything. Keep an eye on radar and have a few different ways to get alerts. That's really important, especially with severe weather that happens at night. So thank you folks for joining me. I hope this helped answer some of your questions about the timing. That enhanced area in eastern Louisiana, southeast Arkansas, western Mississippi. You folks especially need to be watching out later this afternoon into the evening, and especially into the overnight when those storms could be happening while you're asleep. So have ways to get warnings, and just please stay safe. And I'll continue to keep you updated on this channel and also on my social media channels. So if you haven't followed me, feel free. Please have a great night and please stay safe.